Hey, what's up, everybody? Sean here with another personal fitness journey weekly update, cleaning up week 18 at this point. So, if you saw some of my short videos, you may have noticed that there's going to be a couple changes this week. I mentioned it in week 17's video as well. So, if you want to check that out, I'll throw a link somewhere up top here, but it's also in the playlist. But essentially, last week I finally hit my goal weight of 155, and I have about 2 months left. I'm currently out in my deployment, and my goal was to hit all of my sub goals by that time before I head home. One of the goals that's giving me a little bit of trouble, especially while trying to focus on losing weight, is the 750 pound club, where you do the deadlift, the squat, and the bench press, combine all the weights up for your one rep max. And if it's over 750 pounds, you get a shirt. Earlier, a couple months ago, I did the 500 pound club. So my goal is to try to hit the 750, but I've got a lot of weight to go, 180 pounds total. If I split it up equally, about 60 pounds per exercise, and just really wasn't making any progress while doing weight loss. So I'm shifting to more of a sustainment for the current weight and focusing on doing exercises that'll focus on building the level of strength required for those exercises. So with that, we have different daily exercises. I have also changed up my daily meal plan. Previously, I was doing alternate day fasting, where one day I would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then the next day eat nothing at all. Then next day breakfast, lunch, and dinner, nothing at all. Continuing to follow that pattern, and then I set it up so that I would have my eating days coincide with strength training, weightlifting, and my fasting days would coincide with cardio. So cutting out a lot of the cardio here, focusing more on the strength training, and with that also eating each day, at least to some extent. So the schedule of eating is modified slightly. So what does this look like? So the new exercises, doing arm day and upper body on one day. And with this one, the way I've broken it down, it's six, it's basically three exercises rotated out and then a cardio day. So Sunday is always going to be arm day and upper body. Monday is always going to be leg day and lower body. Wednesday is always going to be full body and abs. Then we rotate again. Arm day, leg day, full body. And then Saturday is a cardio day. It's also going to be an extended fast day. So for arm day, it's all the usual suspects. You've got the bench press, of course, is going to be there. Also, the a bench press machine. I think they call it the ISO lat bench press. It's basically the one where you lay down and you have a lever on one side, a lever on the other side. They could work independently, but essentially it allows you to just modify some of the muscles that are used for the bench press. Different curls, so the bicep curl, the tricep curl, hammer curls, those type of things for the upper body and arm day. Leg day is where I threw in the squat, the deadlift, the couple exercises that support that. Lunges, of course, will fall in that day. Leg press fall in that day. So all those type of exercises will be in leg day, and then full body is everything else. So I'm incorporating the I don't know if you've ever done it before, but the luggage carries. You have a heavy weight in one hand, and you walk 50 yards or so, and then walk back, switch arms. Also, the farmer carry, which is an alternate version of that, where you have heavy weights in both hands simultaneously, and you do the walk and walk back. Doing bodybuilders, the 8 count bodybuilders are familiar with those. Also, a lot of ab work. So the leg lifts, the knee raises, weighted reverse sit-ups, regular sit-ups, push-ups for full body as well. So all those type of exercises roll into that day. And it's also where I'm using the mile-and-a-half run, because I still have about 30 seconds I wanted to cut off for that mile-and-a-half to hit that 11 minute. In the evenings, the 3 mile runs, with the exception of Sunday. Sunday has been switched to a ruck march. So essentially putting on 40 pounds of gear and then just walking for 3 miles instead of running 3 miles. The main reason for that is so that I can also hit that other goal. I've got about 200 miles left to go, or 100 miles left to go, a little bit less than that now, for the 300 mile club. for running during the deployment. So once that's gone, which really will be the beginning of September, only giving me about a month left, I'll may cut out the cardio, the running altogether, especially if I'm still needing to make some more progress towards a 750 club. But I don't want to make it this far and run 200 plus miles and then miss out on that last 100. So continuing to do those 300 miles as well, or 3 miles a night as well. The new diet. So again, I mentioned previously I was doing the alternate day fasting. I'm still doing some level of fasting just because I believe there's benefits to it. However, instead I'm doing a kind of a modified 24-hour fast, slightly OMAD. Maybe you can consider it alternate day OMAD. So it's a 2-week rotating schedule essentially, where in this case, the first day, Sunday, starts off with a breakfast, and then I don't eat anything again until breakfast Monday. Then breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just eat normal. Essentially amounts to a 12-hour fast because I eat dinner close to about 8 o'clock at night, eat breakfast around 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. So get a 12-hour fast, really not enough to really consider it a fast. It's just your normal nightly fast that everybody goes through. But then the next day I have breakfast and then a 24-hour fast the next. Keep doing that all the way until Friday, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then Saturday, each week, I'm not eating anything. So what that amounts to is for the first week, that's a 36-hour fast, essentially what I've been doing before. So after dinner on Friday, I won't eat again until breakfast on Sunday, resulting in a 36-hour fast. The following week, after I follow that same pattern, roughly the same pattern, it alternates the days. So first week, Sunday is breakfast only. Second week, Sunday is breakfast, lunch, dinner. What that amounts to is by Friday, I have just breakfast. I don't eat anything on Saturday, and my next meal isn't until I have breakfast the next Sunday, which will just be a before 24-hour fast as well. So alternating each weekend from a 36-hour fast to a 48-hour fast. And again, that's just to make sure that I get those benefits of those longer fasts, which, you know, from doing 4 months here, 4 months plus of alternate day fasting, I do see a lot of benefits from it. Everything from the cognitive to the ability to lose weight for more energy. So I wanted to try to see if I can continue that moving forward. All right, so now with that, we'll get into the actual updates. You know, if you saw my previous videos, which I encourage you to check out, I had a lot of history, a lot of graphs that would show my trends from the first week I started all the way till week 17. Doesn't really translate well when you completely change up the routine. So in this case, for the first couple iterations, the tracking is going to be a little bit sparse, essentially starting a new program. But you can see the exercise that I included as part of arm day and upper body day. So the bench, the iso lat bench press, shoulder press, single arm row, hammer curls, and tricep curls. I tried to balance out some of the exercises I was doing previously, cutting out the ones that really didn't have a lot of benefits, pushing towards the bench press in particular, and then also making sure I didn't have a workout routine that was going to last an hour and a half or 2 hours. So keeping it reasonable. Instead of doing 3 sets and then one failure set, I'm doing 2 sets at a lower weight and then 2 more sets at a higher weight. Just trying that for the routine. And of course, still tracking my steps, tracking my mileage, and my calorie delta. Again, in this case, I'm treating my baseline calorie at 2450, so 2,450 calories. Because I'm only eating one meal on this day, the delta is going to be pretty significant on those days. I try to eat a lot of food in breakfast. There's only so much food that you can eat each meal. So what did I do? I did load it up with more food that I normally do eat on breakfast. Went with getting back into the cheeses, so throwing in some Swiss cheese, even though that's 100 calories each. In this case, it doesn't matter. I'm not necessarily trying to count the calories or trying to cut the calories as much. Throwing in a tortilla, that's the same thing. regular tortilla, it's usually about 100 calories itself. But when I'm trying to get closer to maintaining with one meal a day, those calories don't matter as much. Same with the oatmeal. Started adding that back in, which I didn't actually throw it on here. Going in there in the grains. Still hitting a lot of fruits. And one thing that I noticed as part of a retrospective, looking back on this, the downside of this, the side effect, is that for each of these breakfast only days, I'm really cutting out a whole bunch of vegetables, which is the main benefit of recording these sessions, recording everything I'm doing, and keeping track of everything. Because otherwise, I wouldn't have even realized it. Coming in and putting all these slides together and reviewing everything I did, I'm going through and I'm looking and wow, I didn't really eat any vegetables for any of these breakfast days other than maybe a can of V8, which really, I don't know if that fully counts as vegetables or not. But again, still trying to get high levels of protein where I can, still trying to get high levels of dairy, which a lot of that dairy also has protein, throwing in some honey for some extra energy. Also doing a little bit of treating for myself there, whipped cream in there for the some of that in my coffee just for some flavor, but still trying to get a lot of fruit because again, breakfast is usually one of those meals that has a lot of fruits available. So taking advantage of that. Day 2 is the leg day. So you can see you do the squat, the deadlift, the leg press, and the lunges. In this case, I'm doing for the squats and deadlifts in particular, doing 2 sets, 2 sets, and 2 sets. A lower set weight at high reps, a 2 sets at a medium amount of reps, and 2 at a very low, with the goal of pushing forward a lot faster than previous. I'm not going to try to do 10 reps before I move up the weight. So probably some point here in the near future when I hit the 8 reps for the lowest set, I'll switch it up. Once I get, for example, 185 pounds, once I get to about 5 reps or 6 reps, I'll switch that over to the base rep and start adding some additional weights at the far end. It's going to be a little bit harder. It's going to be a little bit rushed, and I'm hoping I can push through. But if I want to get in additional weight before the end of the next 2 months, I got to do what I can. Leg press is one of those supplemental exercises in there. That's one where I am doing 10 reps twice, and then I'm doing 5 reps twice as well with additional weights. I'm going to try to incorporate more of those, try to push up the weight as much as possible there as well, just to build some of that leg muscle so that I can utilize it for the squat and the deadlift. And then, of course, doing lunges, the weighted lunges in particular with weights in each hand, 30 pounds in each hand, doing 10 reps, 10 to the left, 10 to the right, and then doing that twice, and then bumping up to 35 pounds, doing it 5 to the left, 5 to the right, doing that 2 times. Because this is a eating day, regular eating day, I do try to aim for having a significant calorie surplus so that I can focus on using those calories towards building the muscle. So what did I eat? You can see here a lot of protein, again, going with the eggs, a lot of fish, a little bit of carbs as well for the grains. Again, because I'm not necessarily focusing on trying to cut the calories as much. Still eating a lot of vegetables. You can see there's salads twice a day, dairy, eating the Greek yogurt twice a day, still adding some cheese here, having some honey, actually having a Nutter Butter there as probably going there to the other category as well for a dessert. But other than that, for the most part, these days are pretty similar to what I had in the past. Day 3, so this is the exercise for ab and full body. So you can see it start off with the 1.5 mile run. This week it was significantly humid here, surprisingly. It was only about 105, 108 degrees when I ran in the morning, but it was like 50% humidity, which was like getting hit into the wet towel. So that significantly impacted the 1.5 mile run time that day. Also incorporating that farmer carry. Again, it's got 70 pounds, so 35 pounds in each hand. Essentially doing 50 steps, 50 meters or so, 50 yards, decent sized steps, and then turning around, dropping the weight, giving it a rest, doing it again, and coming back. Luggage carry, essentially the same thing, switching actually, for the luggage carry, I switch every 50 steps. The 50 there for each of those is for 50 meters total. So essentially, I think I calculated out as about 100 steps or so from where I start to where I finish is about 50 meters. Kettlebell thrust. So take two weights, in this case, 25 pounds on each side, all the way to the floor in the deadlift position, lift, stand up, turn, do a barbell or a bicep curl or a hammer curl, turn it up, throw my hands up in the air as a shoulder, go back down, and then get back to a deadlift stance. So essentially doing that 10 times and then doing 2 rotations of that. The reverse setup is one of those where you lay down and you bring your back up and go all the way back down, holding 35 pounds of weight. And then some of the other types of ab exercises, excuse me. Straight leg lifts, that's where you lay flat and then just lift your leg all the way up to the wall if you can hit it behind your head. Knee raises, you sit on a platform and just lift your knees up to your chest if you can. The bodybuilders, you jump down, essentially kick your legs out, kick them back together, do a push-up, and then jump up and do a hop. Doing 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and then every Tuesday I'm still continuing with that 45-minute boxing class as well. So with just breakfast, had a calorie deficit of about 1,600. As you can see, eggs, tuna, some refried beans, some chicken strips, basically made like a little breakfast burrito. A lot of fruit in there with the blueberries, the raisins, making sure I have that Swiss cheese, the Greek yogurt, some milk, honey, throwing that in my coffee, and then for my vegetables, only really having a V8. So day 4 is actually the second instance of the arm day and upper body day. So that's going to be the way it is going forward. I'll get each of these 2 times a week. So I actually have a little bit something to compare to. Unfortunately, in this case, I really didn't have any changes. I essentially did the same exercises, same amount on Sunday as I did on Wednesday. So not a very interesting graph here. Food, you can see here, usual suspects. Wednesday is wing day. So that means got some Thai flavored wings for lunch, got some chicken Parmesan, just a patty. Didn't want to necessarily go with all the noodles. For dinner, getting a lot of different vegetables as normal. Did have some peach cobbler for dessert to treat myself. Again, calories don't matter in this case because I'm trying to maintain as much as possible. And then make sure I get a lot of different fruits. In this case, I really didn't have a lot of grains today, but I did make it up for a lot of vegetables. Thursday, day 5, we had the second instance of the leg day. So this is one where I did actually make some progress. So squats went up a little bit by bumping it up to 6 repetitions. Actually, both of them, the squats and the deadlift, and 4 for the final set. So probably going to shift that over because there's really not a difference between 7 and 6 for those different exercises. And next time I do this exercise, you'll probably see 185 as the baseline set, 205 for that middle one, and I guess going up 20 pounds each time, so about 225 for the final sets. Leg press, you can see I actually went up a little bit there as well. So we'll likely be pushing that one forward soon, and then no changes for the lunges. Again, this day was one of the breakfast only days, so still a calorie deficit about 1,600. Unfortunately, I forgot my camera that day, but you can see what I had. Still no vegetables. I didn't even grab a V8 that day, but I did double up the Greek yogurts in the morning. I did get some oatmeal, had a lot of fruits, and increased the eggs from 3 to 4 just for additional protein. The second instance of the leg day, or actually the full body day, my 1.5 mile run got a lot better just because the weather was a little bit better. Still not where I was maxed out before. I was closer to 11:30, but getting back on track there. Did increase the weight for the farmer carry. It was a little bit easy the first time I did it this week, where I did 35 pounds in each arm. So I did 45 in each pound. Same with the luggage carry. Instead of doing 40, I did it 45 for the weight being carried. reverse sit-ups, I increased the number of reps there. Same with the straight leg lifts, the knee raises, and the bodybuilders, trying to push forward as much as possible. Unfortunately for this day, I didn't have as much of a calorie surplus as I would have liked. I would like to see closer to the 300 calorie surplus, but just based off of the food that was available and the amount of walking that I did this day, because I had a couple meetings that I had to go walk back and forth to, I ended up hitting a fairly small delta. And that's even including the fact that I grabbed some cheesecake and some unhealthy stuff at the end of the day. But as you can see, the type of food there, the salmon, probably not a lot of calories there, but a lot of high protein. Probably could have bumped it up to 4 eggs in the morning as well. Still having the Swiss cheese. It was a southern comfort food night. So I had the black eyed peas, the fried okra. Underneath the mess of stuff here, there's some fried catfish. But other than that, essentially the same type of meal you would normally see, just a slightly lower than normal calorie surplus. And then finally, day 7, this was the cardio day. In this case, I'm deciding to use the stair stepper because it's a lot of calories being burnt, a lot of good heart rate being pumped there, and then also doing sprint interval training because I think that's going to help me with my 1.5 mile run. Essentially doing it at a 10-minute mile for 2 minutes, then doing a 7:30 mile for 1 minute, and then doing that over 5 repetitions, so about 15 minutes total. May bump that up a little bit higher. Again, tons of cardio between those exercises plus a 3 mile run at the end of the day. So associated with a 3,500-ish calorie delta. But again, it's all part of getting that body into a deep state of ketosis as part of the fasting, as part of this regular routine. And of course, because this is a fasting day, there's no food. So with that's the main updates. It is a little bit different. I encourage you to drop a comment below of things you think I'm doing wrong, things you think I'm doing right, suggestions, anything to help me get that 750-pound club by the end of September, beginning of October. I encourage that. So let's go see what the actual results were. Video that play there. Videos didn't automatically play, but essentially, ground result, with everything it's all said and done, I lost about 0.2 pounds. So that puts me at a total of 29.9 loss overall. Waist, no change there, but you wouldn't really expect from only losing 0.2 pounds, which essentially is maintaining. Based off my baseline calories, based off the baseline calories of 2450, it was showing that the overall calorie delta for the week was about 3,700, which would have been about 1.1 pounds. Only lost 0.2. I think what I'm going to do is probably drop my baseline calorie calculation to about 2,100, because if I look at that from last week, that's about on the nose as well for how much was lost, and 2,100 calories would have resulted in about a 0.3 a 0.35 calorie deficit, a weight decrease. So I think that's probably closer to what I'm actually needing for that calculation. You can see over here, the key thing I want to point out is this body fat percentage. Last week I was at 17%, dropped by 0.3. So even though I'm roughly the same weight, it seems to be working at this point. Again, these things fluctuate, but at least it's on the right path. I'm not necessarily gaining any weight. And we'll see in a couple of weeks here as I continue to do this if it helps me progress towards the goals for the 750 club. And then a final side-by-side comparison there from where I started to where I'm at now. I thank everybody here that's watching, that is sticking around for the journey. Again, appreciate any comments or discussions, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.